Hello, my name is Shulamit, and I'm the creator of the MetaSounds process. Every Sunday at noon, I host a Zoom meeting for us to explore wisdom teachings and experience the healing power of MetaSounds. These meetings are made possible by generous donors. Please help this site thrive by liking and subscribing, and please join our newsletter at greatoctave.com to receive notices of our events. Good afternoon, everybody, or wherever you are. Good morning, good evening, so on. So welcome on this, well, in the East anyway, on this beautiful sunny day, Labor Day weekend. I've been thinking a lot and reading a lot about artificial intelligence, or as some call it, alien intelligence, recently. And I wanted to discuss that a little bit, give you something maybe to think about. As you know, we're facing a number of challenges, and for the moment, the environmental issue is not getting any attention, at least in this country, at the present time. It will return. But there are many, many discussions about artificial intelligence. Certainly the possibility for artificial intelligence bringing benefits to us in terms of improved healthcare, solving environmental issues, other problems that are beyond our capacities. But it also brings with it many perils, and that's what I'd like to discuss, because it actually puts a certain pressure on us to look at life a bit differently. So what is artificial intelligence anyway? It's a machine that actually can learn all by itself and improve itself and program itself. So that some of those movies that they made in the 1970s or 80s, I don't actually remember when they were, which I thought were incredibly silly, like The Terminator. I'm not saying that's an accurate portrayal of what's going to happen, but certainly the prospect of a machine much more intelligent than us, much more capable of gathering data from in an instant. Let's say in the case of going to the doctor, looking at every single history paper that has ever been written on a particular symptom and being able in a very short period of time to come up with a diagnosis. We're talking about seconds even, right? And this holds the potential of being able to serve people all over the world for very little money, because you could input your symptoms and, you could find out a lot about it. So there's that kind of massive change that might benefit us. But the machine is not conscious. In other words, it doesn't have any emotions. It doesn't have any values. It's neutral. It's really about gathering data. And you can see the beginnings of the changes already occurring, maybe because you've called a vendor like Amazon, because all the complaints and questions are initially handled by an AI, by a bot. But you can look at it at warfare. The Ukrainians have managed to combat a much superior military force that has very, very, very expensive equipment, tanks and airplanes and so on, that cost millions and millions of dollars, by engineering drones, which cost $500. And they have been doing some significant damage to their enemy. But of course, the enemy has resources too, and the enemy can jam the communications to the drones, and that basically makes them useless. So the next iteration is drones that can choose its own targets and direct its own ammo toward the targets that it chooses. So this is pretty scary. And it's happening now. It's happening now. So some of those science fiction or scary movies we saw not that long ago are, predicting maybe not everything, but something about the future of warfare. And this is not the only thing that's going to change, because if an AI machine can diagnose a patient based on all the papers and all the symptoms and all the data gathered from all over the world in a second, well, what does that do to the profession of doctors? They may not be completely eliminated, but their life is certainly going to change. You may be using a program right now to do your taxes if you're, an individual doing your taxes and you don't want anything very complicated. But what if you were a corporation and the AI could look at every single tax law and every single loophole and put together all of your data in a very, very short period of time? I don't think accountants will necessarily be around. So this may not happen in the next 3 or 4 years. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's very clear that some of the professions that we have prepared for, that we ask our children to prepare for, that they study very hard for, may not exist. And there may be, and probably will be, vast unemployment. Already entry-level jobs are being taken over by automated bots. So there's going to be big effects on the economy, which means that people will be unemployed and they will be irrelevant because there's not something else that they can take up. We can't guide people. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't understand the full implications. We understand that the people in Silicon Valley who are driving this research and enabling the bots are not exactly the most thoughtful people when it comes to putting guardrails on. What they want to do is win the fight. They basically feel that if they stop to figure out how to put the guardrails on the AI, well, maybe Google will beat them, or maybe Musk will beat them. I mean, there are a few people competing for dominance in this market. So given the fact that these days the society is not that thoughtful and very, very, very committed to mechanistic solutions to everything, to kind of bypassing the human element, because production and quantity is the main value of the society. How much money you make, how big is your yacht, how big is the square footage, or whatever, of your apartment. I mean, it's quantity, 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 not quality. So this is racing ahead of us, and we're kind of like, not too aware because we haven't been too affected. Personally, I use AI and find it useful. I call vendors and I have dealings with robots, which sometimes extremely frustrating because they can't deal with nuance. But then you can find robots that are actually very good. I'm talking about when you're not looking for the robot, you're looking for an answer from a company that you bought something from and it's defective and you have problems with it. In any event, what does this mean for us, for everyday citizens, right? What does it mean for everyday citizens? We can't control the nuclear arms race or the geopolitical situation. We have more impact on the environmental issue, but not as much as we would like, because we really need the government behind us. But in this particular situation where you have something so radical about to happen over the next few decades, what does it mean to be human? I mean, the Industrial Revolution made it much easier for us to handle the physical work of our lives. And the people who were displaced from farms found work, maybe not happy work, but they found work in factories. They had a use. They contributed to society. They could support their families. But in this particular situation, we don't know if there's any fallback. And we're really, really tied into our identity. We feel that our identity is us. Our ethnicity, our socioeconomic status, our politics, our goods. That's us. And we have been. That's what we've been fighting about for the last 10 years or so in this country. It's all about identity. But are you really your identity? Because if you lose your job or if you lose your relevance because you can't get back into the marketplace, then what are you? Who are you? Do you matter at all? This is worse than exploitation. This is irrelevance, potentially, right? And what if the government gives a basic salary to everybody? So now you have unemployed people who have a basic salary. They can live, but they have no meaning in their lives. They don't know who they are. They don't know what they are. Now, there are people in this society at this time who are not invested in making money, but are invested in studying scripture or artistry or whatever. And they have meaning irrespective of what other people tell them. And some of them have actually real happiness and joy and feel fulfilled by their work. So it's not like this has never been done on the face of the earth. Well, what is our choice here? And there is, I think, one choice that's pretty clear, is that you have to know yourself. You have to know yourself. This has been advice given from long, long eons ago and was written over the Temple of Delphi in Greece. Know thyself. If you really observe yourself, and there are systems for doing this, you may discover that you don't have the free will that you thought you had. You may discover that many of the things that you think about have nothing to do with you and appear to be coming from another source. You may have difficulty negotiating to find out who you are, and what you actually believe in. We have accepted what we have been told from institutions, including religious ones, for centuries. And that's fine, except now it's not so fine because it may not hold up. Who are you? What can you rely on? This is not an instant question. This is not like I'm going to sit down after I hear this little talk and I'm going to figure it out. No, you have to work on this diligently, and it takes years. However, in the course of doing it, you learn things all the time about yourself, about what you really want, as opposed to what you think as opposed to what you need, what you really need. You can learn about what your desires are. You can learn about what you really believe and what you want to rely on in the future. And it's a journey, and I can't give you the answer. I have my answer for myself because I've been doing this for a long time. And I basically feel very connected, but I don't feel connected to Coca-Cola Company. I don't feel connected to the people who are promoting on social media certain points of view. I don't feel connected to that at all. Even if I agree with it, I don't feel connected to it. It's just an opinion, a point of view. I feel connected on a very deep level because I feel that I'm connected to everything else. I feel full of love, and I feel loved. I feel supported. But it's not based on what somebody else has been telling me. It's what I have discovered for myself. And I'm not selling you that bill of goods because you may come up with a completely different answer. But I think it's essential because we are going to be buffeted and thrown around in ways that we cannot imagine over the coming years. We've already seen it in this country. We've seen what's going on in this country, which is so different from what we were raised to believe was true of us. This is just the start. There are going to be dislocations, as we know, from environmental problems and dislocations because of alien intelligence, which may not be coming from, UFOs or now they call them UAPs, unidentified, unidentified flying objects. It's not necessarily going to come from species from another planet. This is an incredible invention, which some people might be worshiping in 20 years. Who knows? So it depends on what you want. Do you want to go with the way the wind blows you? Or do you want to be really supported by something very strong inside yourself, some kind of core? You know, I can't tell you what that core is, and I can't dictate your philosophy of deism or atheism or anything else. I can only say that if you go on this investigation, it is thrilling and exciting because it's really, really interesting to find out who and what you are, because that brings resilience in the face of change. And the one thing that's guaranteed is change and an unknowing future. You can no longer predict what the future will be like. It's going to be very, very different. And the one thing you have going for you is keeping your eyes open, not being overly attached to the descriptions that you've been given about what constitutes success or humanity or anything else or God, but doing an investigation of your own. And it really is very, very rewarding as you do it, as you are in the process of doing it. So I encourage you, and I tell you that there are a variety of ways available to you, either through organized groups like Vipassana and so on, or what I'm teaching, which is a self-observation practice combined with the sound meditation. You can go really far and bring yourself greater happiness. You know, when you don't rely on things that can be taken away from you, when you don't rely on falsehoods, when you don't rely on what other people tell you is true, you actually can get pretty happy. So I wish us all luck. This is going to be a very, it's going to be change. Big change. So I'm now going to sound to you and just get into a position of comfort, feet on the floor, and take a moment, if you like, to even think about something you'd want to dedicate your meditation to, an answer that you've been looking for, or a sense of peace or whatever, and I will begin sounding. Thanks for listening. Thank you for joining me today and being part of our community. I invite you to join us every Sunday at noon Eastern Time for the full live experience. Wishing you a wonderful week, and I look forward to connecting with you soon. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Visit greatoctave.com for more details about these webcasts, our newsletter, donations, and more.